Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, Cybersecurity, what you need to know. You're probably here to learn more about cybersecurity and how to protect your business from cyber attacks. You're also probably in the Chicagoland area. We are live streaming today, so it could be from anywhere. You may have an IT department. You may be working with another IT firm for outsourced IT. You may or may not have cybersecurity insurance. But we are going to discuss some of the different types of things that you need to protect and how you can go about protecting yourself. My name is Christopher Bartos. I am the president of FEC Technologies, and I have over 20 years of experience in the cybersecurity space. I'm a two-time Amazon best-selling author on cybersecurity, and I have been featured in all the major news sites talking about cybersecurity. Here at FEC Technologies, we are a cyber-first organization, meaning that we live and breathe cybersecurity. Our team is constantly learning new technologies and new ways to thwart attacks. We are on a mission to protect 1 million people from cyber attacks. We believe that technology should work for you and help you grow your business, and it shouldn't hold you back. A lot of times I've seen, people don't like to use technology because of the complexity. We're here to make that a little bit less complex for you. Real quick, our agenda for today is we're going to cover what a cybersecurity risk assessment is and why you need one, typical timelines and what to expect during the process, and the next steps to get your business covered and mitigate any cybersecurity risks that you have in your business. Cybersecurity, cyber attacks happen every day. You just don't hear about them that often. You only really hear about the large companies, kind of like the T-Mobile, Yahoo, Uber. They've all been hacked and have been on the news, the nationwide news. So it's not that small businesses are not getting attacked. It's just that they're too small to make the news. So that is, if you think about the news, they only have 30 to 60 minutes to report. If they reported on all the cyber attacks that were happening, you're never going to have any other news. We were talking with one of our partners, and they had talked to somebody who in 6 weeks they lost $250,000 to a wire fraud. What happened is a hacker got into their email system and watched what was happening, went ahead and sent a fake invoice from a company that they normally pay large sums of money to, and said, "Hey, look at this. We changed our ACH procedures. Please send the payment here." And the accounting accounts payable just went ahead and paid it. It was $250,000 that was gone in an instant. This can happen to anybody. It's not something that it's typically, some organizations, smaller organizations will have better process maybe around that to protect from sending out large sums of money. But it's always something that, it's got to be in the back of your mind. If you have other people who are just paying the bills, you got to watch, make sure that everything is looking the way it should. A cybersecurity risk assessment, it's an essential tool for identifying and addressing potential vulnerabilities in your organization. You want to have one conducted regularly. It's not something that's like a one and done kind of thing. It's something that you want to do, at least once a year. Technology changes, cyber threats change, there's different data breaches or, different ransomware attacks, so you want to make sure that you can find all the holes. So you want to be able to, protect yourself, you need to identify where the holes are and prioritize what risks, need to be mitigated first. And a risk assessment will help you with that to find out, we have a gaping hole here that we need to fix that. You also want to protect your assets. Cybersecurity, risks, have serious consequences, including financial loss, reputational damage, or even legal liabilities. There's been a lot of new regulations put out, with the FTC safeguards that affect anybody who deals with personal financial information, like CPAs, bookkeepers, car dealerships, and mortgage brokers. So, I mean, you want to make sure that you are following the law at the same time, making sure that you're protecting your client's data. You also you can improve efficiency. If you can find out, if you're doing a process that, is taking a long time, let's say, you can actually do through some process, security risk mitigations, you can effectively improve your efficiency and save some money. So overall, cybersecurity risk assessment, it's a crucial step in protecting your business from the growing threat of cyber attacks. So we're just going to go over the framework that we do here. And, it's to protect the people, protecting your processes, protecting the technology, and protecting the data. We'll go into each one a little bit more, more in depth. So part one is protecting the people. Why do you want to protect the people? Well, in most organizations, the number one vulnerability is the people. So how do we protect them? You protect them mainly by training. Most cybersecurity threats are coming in through phishing emails today. It's an extraordinarily high number where you can just click a link, very easy, put in your credentials, maybe it takes you to Microsoft login, or, hey, you have a problem with your email, or you got to give us your login. Well, that's a phishing attack. And the hackers are stealing your credentials. So you want to train your employees, to what to look for. How to identify how do you identify a phishing email versus a regular email? And a lot of times you have like a little, most common thing is changing one letter or using the number 0 for the letter O, things like that, because at a quick glance, you see it on your screen, boom, it looks like an O. You also want to make sure that the dark web is being checked. What information about you and your organization, your employees, are out on the dark web? Are there passwords out there? Do you reuse passwords? So you want to train the employees to be using different unique passwords for every single thing every application they log into. A lot of things are caused by human error, and that's, something that you're never going to get rid of it, but it's something that you can mitigate and make it a much smaller risk. Back in 2021, the Illinois Attorney General's office was hacked, and over 200 gigabytes of data was taken. The hackers planned on releasing the data little by little. In this instance, the state didn't pay any ransom, but it did cost the Attorney General's office $2.5 million to recover. Part of their recovery phase was to train employees on how the new security standards affected them and how to, make sure this does not happen again. There was a report by the state of Illinois that recognized multiple state agencies and local agencies that are at enormous risk for cyber attacks. I just saw on a news site the other day that the state is actually taking it a little bit more seriously about, hey, we need to up our game here on protecting the state from cyber attacks, because there are massive attacks happening as we speak from Russia and China, affecting not only businesses, but government agencies. This report that the state put out discussed having an in-depth cybersecurity risk assessment to determine the extent of exposure. So step one is you want to know, how do you protect yourself? Well, you have to know what you're protecting yourself against. So think about how that affects you, what kind of things you think are, open in your business. As far as this hack with the Attorney General's office, the files that were stolen had all sorts of personal information. Think about, what is in a case file. You may have social security numbers, financial data, names, addresses, all sorts of stuff. And that can be sold on the dark web. The dark web is a great place to sell, stolen information and used in future attacks. Think of the dark web kind of like an Amazon store for hackers. Part two is protecting your process. So basically, that means that your business should figure out what crucial business processes you have and assess the cybersecurity risk around those processes. And then you need to develop and establish safeguards to protect them. Kind of like the example I gave earlier about the wire hack, where they just sent off $250,000. You would want to have a process in place of verifying any changes with vendors. So if a vendor came in and said, hey, we changed our payment process, pay this way instead of the way you always had paid before. What's your process to verify that that is correct? It's something that's happening daily. It's something that we've got to, we have to, be on top of. And other processes, especially around wiring money. Should there be multiple approval process? Yeah, it could hamper a little, a few things, but it's going to ultimately, it'll save you money in the long run. Part three is protecting your technology. Now, you want to protect your technology from unauthorized access. Some ways to do this, I made a mention before in the training, using passwords, strong passwords. Length is important more than complexity. We used to have, a few years ago, change your password every 30 days or 60 days. Uppercase, lowercase, special characters, do that, make sure it's 8 characters long. Now, Microsoft is actually recommending that you don't change your password unless you've been hacked. And how do you know you've been hacked? You have proper processes and, you're watching the dark web to see if your information is out there. But with the technology we have today, hackers can hack easy passwords very quickly. And one of the problems that we found with using these types of, secure passwords was people were, they had a nice password that they remembered. Every 30 days they had to change it. They just put a number 1 or number 2, number 3 at the end of the password. So effectively, yes, you changed your password, but you didn't really change your password. If your password was taken, the hackers are going to increment that last digit and they're going to get in. There's 2 passwords that I know, and there's 2 passwords you should know: how to log the password to log into the computer, and the password to my password manager. All my passwords are unique. It's 20 to 30 characters whenever possible. It's automatically generated. Everything is unique. We don't reuse passwords on anything. Even for our clients, we have a login on the machines. They're all different. So if something ever got compromised, it's easy to change one password on one device than it is to change the same password on, hundreds of devices. So you want to have like a password manager to store your passwords in. You don't want to put them on a Post-it note and stick them on your computer. You don't want to write them down in a book that says passwords. You don't see as much of people coming in and taking things off the desk as we used to. I used to have to be worried about people coming into the office and stealing your computer. Now they're coming over the internet. So you don't want to have your password on your computer on open Excel file. Another way to protect your technology is keeping your software up to date. It's not just your Windows or your Mac OS, doing the updates. I know they come at a most inconvenient time a lot of times, but that's very important. But you also want to make sure that your cell phone is updated. If you have a smartwatch or if you have a smart TV on your network, all these devices need to be kept up to date. You want to use security software. You want to have it more advanced than just an antivirus, because antivirus is really not catching most of the stuff that's happening today. We're seeing a lot of effects of, like drive-by, ransomware, where you go to a website, maybe the ad server was hacked and the ad blows on your machine and downloads something in your computer, executes in memory. It doesn't even download it to your hard drive. And the antivirus is like, okay, yeah, well, it didn't write to the drive, so we're good, until something bad happens. You want to be very careful what you click on. If you've seen any of my videos in the past, I'm always talking about be careful with what you click on your email. You can hover over links in your email and it'll tell you where it's going to take you. Because a big common scam is, the bank, we have a problem with your bank account. You need to log in and here's the link to your bank. It's really obvious if you get an email from, let's say, Chase, and you don't bank with Chase, it's a scam. But if you happen to bank with them, hey, it might trigger something. Oh, I need to click on that. We recommend going to the app on your phone, or just going to the web browser and typing in the correct URL that you would normally go to and log in. You want to use a firewall. There are software firewalls that are on your computer automatically. They protect you from some stuff. As far as a business goes, the office space, you want to have a firewall in your office that will protect you. We call it the edge. So whatever's coming in from the internet gets hit with that firewall first. It's not the end all be all. There's not one single thing that we can say, yeah, do this and you're going to be protected. It's actually a stack of stuff. Another thing you want to do is you want to make sure you're backing up your data. Oftentimes, in a hack, if you have a good backup that has been tested, you might be able to get your data back, or you can recover faster. I've heard from people that, we went to Microsoft or we went to Google. It's all in the cloud. Read the terms and conditions of Google and Microsoft. They do not back up your data. You are responsible for it. Furthermore, Microsoft can actually come after you if your Microsoft account gets hacked and is used in malicious attacks for, going forward. If you did not protect yourself, I've not heard any cases of Microsoft doing that, but it's in their terms and conditions. You also want to make sure your data is encrypted. You want to make sure it's encrypted while it's at rest, while it's sitting on your machine or sitting in the cloud. You want to make sure it's encrypted while you're using it or while you're sending it through email. A lot of times, most email doesn't need to be encrypted, but if it has any kind of sensitive information, you want to make sure it's going through an encryption service so not anyone can read it. Email is a great tool, but if you think about it, when you send something, when you hit that send button out of your email program, anyone in the world can technically read that email if it's sent unencrypted. You want to use two-factor authentication wherever possible. Logging into your computer, logging into your bank, anything that can use a two-factor authentication is the best. You don't want to really use your email to receive your code, because if your email gets compromised, the hackers can log in and now they have your code because they're already in your email. The best thing to do is use the app on your phone. Microsoft has one that works with their service, and it's free. There are other ones that you can pay for. Depending on what kind of application you are protecting, would determine on what kind of two-factor authentication application you would actually need. You want to educate your employees about cybersecurity. It doesn't just affect, the business owner or the business if something happens. It does affect all the employees, because think about it, if the business gets hacked and all the data is encrypted and you have no access, you can't service clients, so now you're not bringing money in, or your bank accounts get hijacked, now you can't make payroll. So that does affect employees. So you need to show everybody from top down that, hey, this is what the stance we're taking on cybersecurity, and this is why. You also want to have an incident response plan. Now, an incident response plan is not just technology. It's an all-encompassing document. You want to plan for severe weather, fires, floods, and cyber attacks as well. The plan should spell out, in the event of a cyber attack, the who, what, when, and where. Who do you contact and when, and how do you contact them? Now, this document should not stay in your email, because again, if your email is hacked and all your contacts are in your email, do you have another way of getting them? You got to try and stay ahead, think ahead one step of the hackers. So if they got my email, where am I going? So you should have a hard copy of the document. And everyone should know where it is and what their role is in an incident response plan. Part 4 is protecting your data. We touched on this a little bit. So you want to make sure your data is encrypted while in use, at rest, and in transit. You want to restrict access to data to authorized individuals. You do that by using, passwords, security questions, two-factor authentication. if you think about say you have you have a HR drive. Well, not all employees need access to that. So you would have a security group that says, okay, these people see the HR drive, or these people see the manager, data. Back, when we had servers in the office, it was pretty easy to do a login script, and you got a mapped drive. Well, moving to the cloud, especially like we do a lot of stuff with SharePoint. Well, we can limit who has what access to what SharePoint site, so that only the people who have access, who are supposed to have access to the data. And again, it's very important to back up your data and test the recovery. You want to test, a file here and there just to make sure that it's working. And then at least once a year, do a full system recovery drill. That is where you take your production systems offline and simulate that the system is gone and pull it from the recovery. So can you spin it up, your data up in the cloud servers and have your machines in your office access that? How long does it take? Is your data actually there? Is it usable? So you want to make sure you're planning for all of that. And again, data security awareness training. You want to make sure that the employees are trained on why we're doing this. Last year, the FBI warned of increasing cybersecurity attacks, especially in Illinois. For some reason, Illinois is one of the hardest hit states for malicious cyber activity. In 2021, there was 17,999 victims reported in Illinois. That was just reported. That was not including what was not reported. The example here I have on the screen, the Lutheran Social Services of Illinois, they were hacked in January of 2022. It took them 11 months to know that sensitive information was actually accessed. Names, dates of birth, social security numbers, driver's license numbers, and other sensitive information was taken. What happens in a case like these is the hackers will take that information and they hold on to it and they try to create a full profile on you. The more data they have, the fuller their profile, the higher they can sell your data for. So if you think about the information that was taken from this hack here, all that data can be used to file fraudulent tax returns, open credit cards, or more, just other things. There's endless possibilities when someone has that information. So what data can cyber criminals get from your systems? Do you have, payroll or credit cards or checks or, bank account information, intellectual property? What about your client's data? There's just so much that's out there that can happen that we want to make sure that everyone gets protected from it. So typically the process of a cybersecurity risk assessment, it's about a 4-step process here. The first thing is you have a strategy session to discuss where are you today and where, what do you think is your biggest weakness in your business? And during, the first meeting, we lay out the process of going through the full assessment. The actual assessment itself is just a data gathering process. We check the network, your firewall, computer systems, we check your storage, your data, how is it all being used, and interview people, key users in the organization. Management has one way of doing things. Employees a lot of times have other ways of doing things that may not, they may be completely different. So it's always good to talk to everybody in an organization to find out, hey, how do you do your job? How are you touching this data? And that gives a clearer picture of, how the company is working as a whole. Typically we say it takes at least a month of data gathering. We just came off the July 4th holiday here. So, hackers like holidays. They love long weekends. They love when people are out of the office because they can do things when, they think no one is watching. So the data gathering process, especially if you're using cloud software, does take a little, about a month, just so we can see, hey, is there someone trying to log in from overseas? Hey, is someone trying to access data? Is someone accessing data? And when we put all that together, so we take all this data from all those different sources, we put everything together and analyze it and say, all right, well, this is what we found as your holes, and this is our recommendations. So that stuff gets presented to you, and here's what we found is that needs to be fixed, and this is how we would go about fixing it. And once everything is ready, again, like I said, we meet with the business owner and other decision makers and present our findings. While everything cannot be implemented at once, implementation can take anywhere from, I would say 30 days to 6 months, depending on how much stuff needs to be fixed or implemented, because it's not something that you can't change your entire business overnight or on a weekend. It would be really nice if you say, hey, we have all this stuff, let's just implement it. But, you have to take into the business does need to operate. So we put together a best course of action on how, we would say you would want to go through with it. If you have cybersecurity risk insurance, and you get breached, they're going to want to make sure that, you followed all the protections that they require. The application to get cybersecurity risk, insurance used to be like 4 or 5 questions, and now it's, 2+ pages long. They're asking for very specific things. The insurance companies are, they've been paying the bill for security incidents now for a while, and they're, quite frankly, they're tired of it. So they will make sure that, you follow the minimum that they want, or they will deny you coverage. And if you happen to get hacked and you lied on the application, they're going to deny it. They're always going to look for pointing the finger to somebody else so that they don't have to pay. So, if you have an IT department, and you say, yeah, we're doing this stuff, but they're not trained up on, cybersecurity or all this stuff, you still may be at fault. If you have an internal IT, that's fantastic. We work well with internal IT of providing the cybersecurity add-on that, most times internal IT does not have the time to train on and, learn. So where do you go from here? You can piece everything together yourself. It will take time. There's a lot of enterprise tools that are out there. A lot of them are very expensive. You can go to different vendors and they will sell you one tool, and this one will sell you this tool, and that one will sell you that tool. You have to learn all of them. You have to implement them, and you'll pay a lot of money, and it'll actually take longer. Your other option is to partner with someone who has a qualified team of professionals that does this every day. We have access to a whole bunch of enterprise level software that, a lot of businesses cannot purchase outright. They have to go through someone, who does cybersecurity, and, it's not as expensive as going to, say a Cisco or, saying, hey, give me your product. So that is, a benefit to that. And it also, having someone else come in and do that, help you with this, it frees you up more, so you can focus more on growing the business and still servicing your clients, and not having to sit there, 8 hours a day worrying about cybersecurity or trying to figure out this piece of software, or, installing something and having it break something. You want to have someone in your corner helping you out with that. So if you choose to work with us, like I said, we have a different approach. We won't sell you a tool. There's not one size fits all. And I made the mention of that, there's not a magic piece of software that we can just install and everything is fantastic for you. But we do, we customize every solution based on your specific needs. We do partner with our clients. We want to assist them with technology in any way that we can. If there's a decision on new software, building move or whatever, we like to be at the table up front and helping assist with that kind of, decision making. And we want to make sure that we are there for our clients, because, we want to see them grow. We do provide constant monitoring of all the solutions that we offer. And we just, we fill in the gaps. We provide top tier IT and cybersecurity solutions. We're constantly reviewing the new threats that come out and new technology, with technologies out there that we can keep our clients safe and secure. We're not the cheapest guys on the block, because we do spend a lot of time and effort in doing all this research so we can provide the best possible service. Our goal, again, is, we want to protect 1 million people from cyber attacks. And one way to do that is to, constantly learn and bring better things out to market. So if you want to move forward, I would suggest, go to call.fectechnologies.com and, book a quick 15-minute call with us. It's just a free cybersecurity strategy session. And, on that call, we'll assess where you are, where you want to go, what your concerns are. And we want to make sure that you're confident in your cybersecurity stance. We don't want you just hoping and praying that, nothing happens. We want to make sure that you are protected. And like I said, we are here to help every step of the way. So again, I invite you to go ahead and, book a call with us. Our calendar does fill up rather rapidly with some of these. So we want to make sure that you get in. And anyone who does book, I will send you a free copy of one of the books I co-wrote, which is Why Your Business Must Have a Cybersecurity Risk Assessment. And if anyone has any questions, they can put it in the question box. So I thank you for your time today. I hope you learned something about, some of the threats that are out there and, a great process on how to go forward and protecting your business from cyber attacks. Again, if you have any questions, just book a quick 15-minute call with us. We're happy to help in any way we can. It's, I said that the call is free. And we're not going to pressure you to buy anything, and, just see where we can help you. And again, that web address is call.fectechnologies.com. I thank you for your time this afternoon, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.